check. All right, we have sound this time. This time for sure. Being famous is shit. I believe there was probably a time when it was cool, perhaps during the silent movie era, when you could parade around your Hollywood estate sniffing non addictive cocaine from the heads of bald midgets. That term was still acceptable then, and getting steaming drunk every day before noon. Interesting that I should associate cool with pathological addictive behavior and casual cruelty towards little people. Maybe I should examine that in therapy. But those days are long gone, and being famous now is extremely uncool. Just look at all the people who are famous: idiots, pimps, whores, and killers. Stephen Fry once described fame to me as feeling like the early stages of dementia. Everyone knows your name and what you've been up to, but they don't even know who you and what you've been up to, but you don't even know who they are. Fame is certainly an odd commodity, but a commodity it is. If you use it correctly, it can be converted into cash and prizes. For example, take tabloid fame, or famous for being famous. This is, to my mind, the most loathsome form of fame, yet my guess is it's one of the most that the majority of people, particularly those who are currently young, aspire to. The most glaring and certainly financially successful contemporary example of this kind of fame would be Kim Kardashian, who first came to the attention of the masses as a young woman who enjoyed going to parties and clubs with a much more famous young woman who also enjoyed going to parties and clubs, Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton is still famous, but she is no longer current. Kim Kardashian is current as of writing this, but of course there's no guarantee that she will be by the time it reaches print. Current is a subset of famous. It could also be described as hot or interesting to the bovine kashkas who pore over the drivel written in the celebrity press. Kim Kardashian's big break into fame came when a sex tape she made with her former boyfriend was leaked to the tabloids. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. And this time you can hear me. Welcome to Sunday morning books, TV, and maybe even a little Clubhouse chat after this if we can find some people. I pretty much blew it last time and went ahead without the sound. So I'm going to try to recreate the show I was doing last time, this time with the sound. I do have the chat open. I didn't last time. It's hard. When it launches with Restream It, it doesn't quite give me the good option to have the chat ready beforehand. To do it that way, you have to set up a YouTube and a Restream It. And it's just more things to set up. The price of Bitcoin is up 5.54% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 50,972, a high of 51,350, and a low of 48,136. That's $1 for 1,962 Satoshis. Volume was at 5,026 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean long, with 93% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance is at 80%. I finally got a copy of a book I've wanted for a long time. It's called The Box: How the Shipping Container Made the World Smaller and the World Economy Bigger. And it's really a great book. I've just started the introduction so far, but it seeks to be a history of the shipping container. And a lot of people have ignored the shipping container. Trying to pull up my notes. It worked much better last time. Let's see. But I think you might find the shipping container more fascinating than you previously thought. Here's a little bit from The Box by Mark Levinson. This book contends that just as decades elapsed between the taming of electricity in the 1870s and the widespread use of electrical power, So too did the embrace of containerization take time. Big savings in the cost of handling cargo on the docks did not translate immediately into big savings in the total cost of transportation. Transportation companies were generally ill equipped to exploit the container's advantages, and their customers had designed their operations around different assumptions about costs. Only with time, as container shipping developed into an entirely new system of moving goods by land and sea, did it begin to affect trade patterns and industrial location. Not until firms learned to take advantages of the opportunities the container created did it change the world. Once the world began to change, it changed very rapidly. The more organizations that adopted the container, the more costs fell, and the cheaper and more ubiquitous container transportation became. As the book says, continuing, mysteriously, the container has escaped all three of these very lively fields of research. It has no engine, no wheels, no sails. It does not fascinate those captivated by ships and trains and planes, or by sailors and pilots. It lacks the flash to draw attention from those who study technological innovation. And so many forces have combined to alter economic geography since the middle of the 20th century that the container is easily overlooked. There is, half a century after its arrival, no general history of the container. In telling the remarkable story of containerization, this book represents an attempt to fill that historical void. It treats containerization not as shipping news, but as a development that has sweeping consequences for workers and consumers all around the globe. Without it, the world would be a very different place. So it's interesting to think about the shipping container and to think about the Bitcoin. The shipping container allows you to ship items all over the world. Your items can be secured, your items can be refrigerated, your items are safe. They generally are not broken into, especially on these modern container ships, where it's all containers and about 8 crew. It's not like the old days when you ship stuff in bags and pallets and piles and packs. Anyone could cut into your pallet and take a taste of your shipping. Your items could be stopped by governments and ports, all kinds of things. Now, shipping containers sometimes just go right through, right onto the back of a truck. The truck takes it all the way the last mile. The delivery finishes. It's a lot like Bitcoin, I think. Bitcoin is a financial container. Bitcoin allows us to put value into the Bitcoin and send it around the world, exchanging that value, much like the shipping container. Bitcoin isn't really useful until you've switched over to it. Once we've converted all of the world systems to Bitcoin, everyone will be using Bitcoin. It'll seem really simple. Oh, why didn't we do this right away? And it's just like we're saying here with the shipping container. The shipping container didn't change. The shipping container was always generally a box with one door and a lock. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to get more detail for you. But generally, the idea of the shipping container is a box with a lock that keeps your stuff safe, that's the same size, that allows for ships to be filled with containers, rather ships being full of pallets and oddly shaped items. You can store more things in a ship. You can unload the ship faster. You can reload the ships faster. There's tons of advantages that become incredibly obvious once you switch to this idea of containers. And what is a container but a network packet? And what is this internet but a series of packets flying around with data in them? And what is Bitcoin but a value packet traveling around this network of data, a shipping container full of value that anyone can now use for almost nothing? I've also been checking out Wanda Vision this week. It's been some good stuff. Don't want to give any spoilers, but if you are interested in it, it's another one of these Marvel shows. It gets really good after the 3rd episode. I think you really got to stick in there First couple are kind of confusing. The third one, it's like, there's a mystery. And I love a good mystery. Also been catching up with Fresh Off the Boat. Pretty much finished my second watching of it. Classic, wonderful Asian American sitcom, kind of the first of its kind, first major success of its kind. And the kids get really big really fast, and that's a problem. And they ended the show shortly after that, and probably a good decision. But what a great concept. What an interesting and fun sitcom to watch, Fresh Off the Boat. Still trying to finish up The Goldbergs, pretty nerdy sitcom with a lot of film references and computer geek and 80s and 90s references, which I like. Unfortunately, it seems recently the show's gotten a lot more into the family and the characters, not so much like a standalone set piece episode like an Indiana Jones episode or a Star Wars episode or some kind of 80s stuff. But still, it's fun. I'm watching it out. Not sure about the later seasons of this. I think the kids get pretty old pretty quick here too, and the parents are also aging incredibly fast. I'm checking out the chat because the chat lets me know that the audio is working, and that's vital around here. Bram is also watching Wanda Vision with me. Excellent. It was great. It just finished up. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but my general recommendation is if you like superhero movies, you'll like WandaVision. It's like a big, long superhero movie. It was kind of fun as a consumer to watch it week by week. I wanted more, right? I wanted the next episode to start. I even rewatched a couple of the episodes to try to catch the little details and prepare for the new episodes and see what had changed about the old episodes now that I knew more information about the mystery. But that serialized nature is now lost forever. No one will ever watch this 1 week at a time ever again. They're just going to plow right through. They'll probably watch 3 or 4 hours and then stop again and watch another 3 or 4 hours and fight their way through it. But yes, WandaVision was great stuff. And especially we need fun entertainment like this, distraction, not political or anything like that. But yes, it's great to enjoy WandaVision. Crypto Cleanse says that break bulk is the term for the sloppy pre-container mess, and stevedores, now known as longshoremen, they still like to steal. That was one of the interesting things. I've only read the introduction to this book, so I'm just getting started. But they did talk very much about the replacement of men versus machinery here. The docks, as I picture them, of course, as a movie watcher, I'm picturing what's it called, Along the Waterfront or something like that. The Marlon Brando movie. Oh, it could have been a contender, Charlie. I could have been somebody instead of just being a bum. And all the guys down at the docks and the Kerouac could always get a job there. There was always work going down at the docks, and I'm not so sure anymore. I haven't been there, but I imagine it's starting to look like a video game and a bunch of controllers. And even then, I think that the computer is automated, that it's automatically lifting up these boxes and just moving them in. The ships are rolling in and out. There's hardly any people on the ship. I think there's hardly any people on the dock. This is a major change to the way that we do things. And again, with everything, it all comes back to that Vonnegut book, Player Piano. He was working at General Electric. He was working with engineers, and he could see what they could see. He could see this potential future where a lot of the jobs we have are no longer there. A lot of the people who used to be needed are no longer needed. So I don't know. In the book, it suggests that we pay them to stay at home and watch TV so that they don't smash the machines. Sounds like a good idea. Maybe we could pay them more and give them VR. So, but it's definitely going to change the world. Certainly with these boxes, if you were to steal from them or steal one of them, maybe you just steal the whole box. A classic heist movie. Put it on the wrong truck, drive it back to your warehouse. But in a lot of ways, these boxes have stopped theft at shipping, and they've reduced it. And really just an incredible invention. And I look forward to learning more about the box. I've had this on my list for a long time. Not to say that I'll read it, but I mean, it's at least it's there now. It's an option on the Kindle. Bram says, Thomas, when will you go travel again? Certainly, I would like to get outside just like everybody else. I'm waiting for the vaccine. I'm not an essential worker, and I'm not over the age of 65. So I'm not in any special category to get the vaccine. I'm just waiting for it to become widely available. Previously, it was the end of July. Now they're saying perhaps the end of May. So it's the beginning of March. So that means March inside, April inside, May inside. So still three more months. We're not going anywhere. Warm up your Instacart subscriptions and get some more Costco food delivered. But yeah, so I'm pretty much staying inside till the vaccine, trying to avoid people, trying to avoid the virus, trying not to spread the virus. It's not just about me not wanting to be sick or not wanting to take 2 weeks off or not wanting to get long COVID with potential health effects for the rest of your life. It's also a matter of, as a member of Team Human, I'm with the humans here. I'm against Team Virus. And every time the virus infects someone new, it's a chance for the virus to mutate. If the virus mutates, as we've seen with the UK variant or the South African variant, so far it's mutated to spread faster, which obviously is in the virus's best interest, Team Virus. But if we can stop the virus and starve it from hosts, it only lives inside of humans or bats. It lives in the air for just a little bit and then it gets inside you. So stopping it of hosts, not spreading it. Yeah, I'm staying inside. I miss the outside. I respect it. It was good times. There's some cool conventions coming up. I think there's one coming up in Miami. They moved it from Los Angeles to Miami, so that's gotten further away from me. But Miami's kind of a hot spot right now. Everyone just needs to chill out, get this vaccine. There's 3 of them now. There's going to be more soon. You can read about it. You can learn about it. You can have different opinions on vaccines. That's all for you. But as a general scientist here, vaccines have eradicated disease. Vaccines are incredible. This new one with the mRNA vaccine, again, I'm not an exact scientist or whatever. I don't know that much about it, but it sounds amazing. It stops the virus from spreading. So, and it the main things that getting the vaccine does is that you still might get sick, still might have to take a couple weeks off and cough if you get the COVID, but you're not going to have long-term effects and you're not going to die if you get the vaccine. So that'd be golden. But yeah, places I'd like to go, sure, the Miami one. There's one they're trying to invite me to in August in Mexico at Ensenada. I'm what's it called? I'll go. I'm generally I'll go. I don't know what's the word I'm thinking of. I think I'm tentatively scheduled to go to the one in Mexico. And again, it's mainly just about this vaccine and my personal choice that I would like to get out of this by getting the vaccine, if possible. So, but I didn't mean to get political and all that, but I was asked about my personal choices. Bram says, in 2 more weeks, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And for Bitcoin to be at 77777, wow, 77K. That would be pretty cool. You can't beat that. Now, it's interesting, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I kind of feel the same way as Wanda Vision, where I'm not really psyched for it. I don't really care about the Falcon, and I don't really care about the Winter Soldier. And in fact, his movie was kind of one of the weaker movies. Captain America made a lot of very strange choices to support his friend, the Winter Soldier, as if he was like Luke Skywalker or something. Like, we need to save this guy so he can save the future. So maybe that ties into some reason, but right now, based upon my initial reaction to the WandaVision advertisements in the first couple episodes versus my feeling after episode 3 and my feeling after watching the whole show, these Marvel people are geniuses. They're starting to become just like the Pixar movie people, where every movie is just amazing. And so much time is spent on storyboards and pre-mock-ups. They do the effects in advance, and the screenplays are pretty tight. They still do have that problem that they mock in the pitch meetings. And I love these pitch meetings on YouTube. I can't get enough of those. where the guy says, "Oh, do we have two characters with the same powers fighting each other at the end?" That's something we should do. And that, of course, happens in Wanda Vision as well. No spoilers, but yes, two characters with the same powers fight each other in the end. I hope that the new Spider-Man doesn't end with the Spider-Man fighting a black version of Spider-Man with the same powers, or an alternate version of Spider-Man. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. They do that a lot, but otherwise they make really tight, fun movies with some jokes and some action. And one of the things, going back to WandaVision, before we move on, I was really impressed with the makeup of the Vision. And I think it's combination of the, practical makeup, actual makeup, and a combination of CGI and putting effects in there and shining it up and whatever they did in the afterworld. But I thought he looked fantastic the whole time, and he was make or break for the series. If he didn't look good, if he looked like a monster or some kind of thing, it wouldn't have worked. But he was expressive and he was present, and I thought all the other effects were amazing, and it felt much more like a movie. So if Falcon and Winter Soldier, if they keep the same level of quality effects and quality writing and, we'll call it cliffhangers, all there, I'm sure we'll be delighted by that as well. Bram says, "I'm welcome in the Netherlands." Oh, thanks so much, man. I love the Netherlands. Had a great time there. Had some wild political stuff going on there, and also some interesting economic stuff. I'm very interested in the idea in Amsterdam. They're working on a donut shaped economy. And this is a bit hard for anyone to grasp their head around, but as a basic idea, the donut hole is where you don't want to be. So the donut hole is like someone that doesn't have unemployment or doesn't get social services, doesn't get help, fails out of the education system, all these kind of things. Those people are falling through the hole. So by trying to enlarge the donut and shrink the hole, you can make society better. And that's a really interesting idea they have going on over there. They're trying to reorganize after the pandemic, kind of take a positive advantage to one of these opportunities rather than so many times as we see a negative advantage taken to them. Let's see. Crypto Cleanse says that they're holding a press conference against Gavin Newsom, governor of California, Saturday, March 12th at noon. They say that he enforced martial law for no reason. Well, I don't want to get political here, but I'm going where the chat goes. I think I kind of disagree with you on that one. I totally respect your right to go after Gavin, and it's been a little questionable. And recently, I actually felt he was negligent for opening up too soon. He shifted our system here in California from being at a state lockdown to a county by county choice system. And I felt that was a little unsafe. We're not quite out of the woods yet. Texas has, of course, wildly opened up. Hashtag Team Virus. Texas is helping the virus spread to more places, and that's sad. And remember, it's not just a matter of those people's personal choices to get sick or get the virus or get long COVID and all those. It's also a matter of helping the virus mutate and survive, and the virus can get more chances to become a better virus the more people that are infected. So it is it's a bit like Highlander. Like the virus is gathering power, and we don't want to empower the virus. Is my point. But on the Gavin thing, yeah, they're saying he enforced martial law again for no reason is a bit a suspect because there was a reason, right? There's a nationwide pandemic. there's a virus. It killed 500,000 Americans. That's more than World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. So that sounds rough. But yeah, I think we disagree on that. Rolando, hey, welcome to the chat. He says the box sounds interesting. I should read it for the lazy people. Oh well, I'll try to read it today. I got to absorb it myself first before I can kind of generally talk about it. But yeah, even just getting through the introduction there, I'm very fascinated by the shipping container and how it's worked. And as the author's saying, it's a unique little piece of history that you might just ignore otherwise. I mean, it's the shipping container. Who cares? But it is interesting to see, especially now, as the author said in the introduction, he was like, the shipping container has been fetishized right? People are building houses out of shipping containers. They're building skyscrapers out of shipping containers. In Las Vegas, there's a place called Container Park, and part of it is built out of containers. It has restaurants and shops and all that kind of thing. And we have tons and tons of these extra containers here in the US because you guys know China is shipping us more stuff than we're shipping back to China. So they're just leaving the metal boxes here. We have piles and piles of them. So it's very interesting. Let's see. Why was I discussing Highlander? I was discussing Highlander to talk about kind of the snowball effect of the virus. And in Highlander, spoilers for Highlander, but in Highlander, when the guys goes around, when they chop off more heads, they get more power. It's kind of a cumulative effect. So I would say that with the virus, it's not just a simple like personal choice. Like, I don't care if you get the virus, you know, you're another person. It's more like if you get the virus, you're giving more power and potential for the virus to mutate. So it does affect me, right? So I don't want no one to get the virus. Like right now, the Texas situation, like we could say, okay, Texas is for today, we're going to just pretend Texas is the ultimate libertarian example, right? You have the ability to go out and shop anywhere you want. And if you get the virus, you know, who cares? It's your personal choice, just like it's your personal choice, you know, in my opinion, to smoke something or drink something or shoot something in your veins or whatever you want, as long as you don't affect other people. And it's very difficult with some of those things not to affect other people because they create essentially zombies that are a drain on society. I'm mainly talking heroin here, but other negative drugs, meth, things like that, they destroy people, they hollow them out. Like that hurts everyone in society. It's not just a personal choice. But with the virus thing, I can't just say, Texas, do whatever you want, like it's in a vacuum or it's in a bubble or under the dome, right? And we can just let them have their own fun virus experiment because that the problem is that comes back on me. If a stronger virus comes out of Texas and it beats the vaccine, then my strategy to get a vaccine and go back to normal life and traveling and shopping and all the goofy things I used to do can't happen, right? So it's a bit of it's a unique problem, and I think it's a political one. I think it's a good one for us to talk about if you guys want to talk about it. But generally, yeah, I think it kind of hits right on those libertarian fault lines where you can't just say, I do what I want, it doesn't affect people, because like Buckminster Fuller said, we're on spaceship Earth here, right? We're all interconnected. So this virus is one of the animals or creatures or whatever you want to say on spaceship Earth, and it's competing with us humans, right? At a very large level, and it's kicking butt. And me, I'm on Team Human, right? I'm from a Star Trek perspective. There's a virus loose on our ship. We're all on the same ship. Captain Picard has said we should stay in our quarters and not spread the virus. Generally, that makes sense to me. I understand everyone has a slippery slope argument. They say, oh, we've been in our quarters too long and the virus isn't big enough. And there's a lot of different arguments there. But generally, I'm on the good faith of the scientists and the good faith of Captain Picard and the fact that on the ship that I'm on, right, we've been through this before. I've read all about other viruses. I've read all about other problems. And a lot of times, the best solution for a normal computer geek like me who doesn't have to be out building buildings or do anything physical in a certain location, staying home, letting the virus blow over. Science has already accelerated, made a vaccine faster than any in history. Now we're just waiting for them to make more copies of that vaccine, which they're again doing with an incredible speed, never been done before. So I'm just there. I'm on Team Human, Team Science, and again, it's unfortunate we have to stay home. And if it's like 5 years or 10 years or that, I don't know what the conditions are for it being unacceptable. But you each have to set your own condition for when the slippery slope becomes too slippery. But for me right now, it's I trust the system. I trust what we have going on. And you can disagree. You can call me names and all that stuff. But yeah, that's where I am. So let's see the chat. So Toxium Valerianin says, if you're fleeing your authoritarian states to a free state, don't vote for the same authoritarian values. That's kind of an interesting statement. I'll take that and just kind of expand a little. It's been interesting for me as a Californian and a Nevadan to watch all these people leaving California and especially going to Texas, which we seem to be talking a lot about today. So Texas has less laws, less regulation, less taxes all that kind of thing. And these people that were leaving talked a lot about how there were too many laws in California and too many rules. And in a lot of way, I think that's true. I've read about some recent laws that I think are going a little too far, but we'll see how that goes with the genderization of toys and the forced non-genderization of toys from a top level seems very strong to me. But we could debate that. But yeah, I think that the issue there with Texas and the people fleeing, they just had that major event where they froze to death because they have their own electricity grid and they refuse to connect to the national grid because they don't want to be regulated. This way, there was no there was no fallback position where we could send them power. Also, the decision to winterize their natural gas production facilities as well as their windmills and other things came at the power company level. They free marketed it and they said, if you guys feel like spending some extra money for once in a lifetime winter storm, you could do that. And they said no, they'd rather just let X amount of people freeze to death. And every once in a while, there's a winter storm and we'll just take the loss. And sure, with like a stock, you could say, yeah, we're going to take a 5% loss. We're going to take a 10% loss, right? But in the real world, in Texas, that 5% loss, that 10% loss was somebody's grandma, somebody's family member. And, if you're at a certain level and you're planning and running a society and you want to make those choices and maybe you're playing Civilization, but you think it's real, it is real, something like that. Yeah, I think it was kind of a direct lesson there between the swinging of, regulation, where certainly some regulation is onerous and it's too extreme, and some regulation is worthless and it doesn't actually change things. And then there's some regulation that's actually useful that saves people and protects people, things like seatbelt protections, clean meat, clean food, clean water, these kind of things. So I really think, I mean, we can debate back and forth on this, and I figure I know where you guys are on the far end of the spectrum, and I think, I know where you think I am on the far end of the spectrum. But I think really the point we want to find is going to be a happy medium between our 2 points, where a compromise is where all parties are unsatisfied, right? And I think if we found a nice compromise, we might get the best out of both systems. And I think that's really, if you want to look at historically over the past 50 or 200 years, the battle between socialism and capitalism, I think what the world's really come down to is a mixture of the two. And yes, that's very unsatisfying for the hardcore capitalists, and it's very unsatisfying for the hardcore socialists. But as a utilitarian or a person just looking to get the most out of a system, that might be the best. That might be the way to get the most out of the system. So let's see. Moonshine Fuel says, most people are not staying home, I don't believe. They're just practicing safely while out and about. It is different now than in the early phase of the virus. Of the early phase of the virus, we really didn't know that much. So we were disinfecting our food. We were worried about the virus living on surfaces for a long amount of time. As more and more information came out, it seemed less likely that the virus was living on surfaces for a long amount of time. It seemed more likely that it's airborne. And if it's airborne, wearing a mask is super useful. Both people wearing a mask is incredible. And both people wearing a mask outside at social distance from each other, it's almost 100%. I mean, you're in a very strong position there. So I definitely think it's fine. People do that, but it's always a little shocking when we're supposed to be staying home and locked down for like the good of everyone and to save somebody's grandma's life and that kind of thing. And when you do go out and all the stores are full and all the shops and the parking lots are all full, and I still really don't have a desire to go in a store. I mean, I have, again, as information has changed and I've gotten more information, I've gotten some fast food a couple of times. I've gotten some delivery food. I'm letting other people cook for me, good for the economy and probably bad for me. It's better to cook yourself. You can know exactly what's in there that way. But yeah, it's much more of an airborne thing, much more of a cough that lives in the air. And you can tell the difference just logically. If you were in a small hallway or a small classroom with a bunch of coughing people, you're going to breathe in their coughs. If you're in an outdoor area, which a bunch of coughing people, especially a bunch of coughing people with masks on, right? And you're wearing a mask and they're wearing a mask, you're going to breathe less coughs. If the virus is in the coughs, you're going to get less virus. So Stephen Hendricks says, I would like to know more about Lightning. I used it with Ben's fountain and paid for your laptop, but I'm wondering how to open a channel and maybe be a liquidity provider and earn some Satoshis. Well, let's see. There's two ways on Lightning. Stephen, my main way is the easy way, right? My goal is to teach people the Lightning where you don't have to know anything about channels and liquidity. So that Lightning is you get the Strike, like Lightning Strike app on your phone. You hook that up to your bank account. You probably have to KYC, put your driver's license in. I know it's awful, but that helps you to buy the Lightning Satoshis. Strike handles all the channels. And then if I want to send them like to Fold app and I want to buy a gift card, I can do that really easy. If I want to send them to Wallet of Satoshi and I want to hold them as like my tipping Lightning or my have around money, I could do that. And then there are Satoshis that in the Wallet of Satoshi. In the Strike app, they're dollars, so they don't go up in value and stuff. So that's my easy Lightning thing that I'm doing because I'm trying to avoid that. If you wanted to learn more about this, I think the simplest path, and maybe write this down or whatever, is you get, and I don't know the exact steps on this. I'm still figuring it out myself, but you get a Raspberry Pi and a terabyte hard drive or something like that, and you get the little computer, the little hard drive. You snap that all together, and then it runs Linux, and you can do this thing called Umbrel. And it's like umbrella, and you can do a get Umbrel node. And that's a really easy way to run a Bitcoin node that also has a Lightning node. And it has all the packages and it has all that kind of stuff. And that's a way where you can start to learn about these channels and channel balancing. And just for anyone that's just joining us on Lightning, a channel is kind of generally, it's like a thing you would put $20 in, and I can put $20 in it, and I can send out, little dollars here and there. And when the $20 is gone, the channel's empty. So then there's a lot of complicated things I could do to refill the channel, to put another $20 in. And then there's another thing about if the channels are connected to other Lightning nodes and they have to share these connections, and things get really complicated there. But as a normal user, I want to try to avoid all that complication and just use these simple things. But once you had your Umbrel node and you synced it, and it takes a long time, then you'd have a Bitcoin Lightning node. And then I think you'd be in a good position to learn about staking Lightning on the network to earn a small piece of interest. I want to warn you on the interest, though, because a long time ago we had Nick Bhatia on here and we talked about the interest potentials for the Lightning Network. It's generally interest for like gigantic corporations. If a gigantic corporation had like $1 billion and you could get a 0.0000001% interest and it wasn't a risk. The thing about the staking your coins on the Lightning Network, if it's all technologically configured properly, is that you're not risking your money and you're still getting interest. You own the keys. Other people are using it in the Lightning Network to send around their little monies. You're facilitating it by keeping a computer running and having network access. And depending on how your node is configured, again, question mark, question mark, question mark, you are making more or less money. But still, I think the interest rates are going to be so small, you would have to have giant corporation style money to make money on it. But for them, the attractiveness is that this is a no risk. They actually have the money and get interest, whereas everything else, you give the money to the bank, you give the money to the exchange loans it out to people, the bank loans it out to people. You don't have full access and control of your money the way you will on the Lightning Network. Let's see. Crypto Cleanse disagrees with me on the virus. He says we need more leaders like John Magufuli of Tanzania. When the papaya came back positive for COVID, he evicted the WHO and opened up. He has a PhD in chemistry. I don't know anything about that, but it sounds interesting. I hope the papaya is okay. They say, how is California's electricity? Well, it's pretty amazing with California. Even now, as everyone's hating on it, we get all this stuff 3 to 5 years earlier than everyone else. So we had energy deregulation just like Texas, and it led to a major disaster just like Texas. Ours was more of a summer disaster where we couldn't run our air conditioners. And I know everyone laughs, but in a hot place like California, not running your air conditioners, having brownouts in your hospitals, it does lead to problems. Some people overheat in their apartments, older people, stuff like that. So it was a tragedy. They recalled Governor Gray Davis. They pulled him out of office for that, and then they fixed the California system. So we still have problems with the fires, and the fires can knock down power lines, and there's all kinds of complexities there. But yeah, generally Texas is about 5 to 10 years behind California on the energy thing. So Moonshine Fuel said, "Oh my God, I just ate a papaya 2 days ago." Oh no. Rolando says he has to wait 2 weeks to see if the symptoms develop. Moonshine says, "What's the cure for eating an orange?" Oh no. Yeah, I stay home a lot, but I also walk the dog. So I'm out and about and I go outside. Yeah, you definitely can't have innocent jokes on YouTube. You have to be careful. Rolando says, "I'm also home. I go out in nature and stuff, but I'm not going in malls and other crowded places." I think that makes sense. Well, it's really all just a matter of trade-offs, right? I mean, if you really need a new shirt or a new outfit or whatever, you could go to the shop and you could be inside with the people and hopefully wear masks, both of you. And maybe you're okay and you get the new outfit or you get the new clothes or you get the groceries or whatever it's going to be. Whereas with a lot of that other stuff, you can have it delivered. You can do Amazon. You can just try it on, send it back, do Instacart for your groceries. I know this isn't an option for a lot of people, but if it is an option, what we're really talking is an economic trade-off. How much do I want to spend to get my groceries delivered versus going in a store and having a potential? And now you might say it's a small potential, you might say it's a large potential, or the virus is a hoax or whatever, but or the potential of getting sick by going to a store. And I think what Rolando and I are doing is just erring on the side of caution and mostly staying home, mostly not meeting with people. Let's see. Moonshine Fueled says his brother's family came down with it months ago, but they all recovered. They're just fine, so that's good. I'm very happy for family. I'm glad they're okay. It's very worrisome, and especially they were just saying on the Bill Maher show, and I really appreciated their honesty. They were saying everyone keeps saying pre-existing conditions, pre-existing conditions. Well, the thing they're not saying, and this is again a politically correct thing, so we're going to step on the wire here for you guys, but COVID's killing fat people. COVID's killing people that are overweight. If you're overweight, and I'm overweight, all the American people here are overweight. The food's poison. The work system's terrible. The time to work out, the work-life balance between working out and living a life and being busy and all that stuff. There's a lot of external factors that I think that the overweight people can't control and can't avoid. But yeah, the reality is one of the major comorbidities for COVID, one of the major reasons why one person might have a light case and one person might have a heavy case. And for some reason, we're having a problem saying this in the public sphere. Thank goodness for, Bill Maher shows a little, but at least Real Time is discussing this issue and getting it out there, as well as Charlemagne the God. I just want to echo this. The F-135 fighter was a waste of money, and the American people got ripped off. That was $1 trillion. We could have done anything with that. He repeated that like 4 or 5 times. I really appreciated him for that. If I was on TV, I hope that's what I would do, or just tell people to buy Bitcoin. That's what I tend to do. Crypto Clint says Toyota left Cali for Texas. It's not possible to do business in libtard states. Elon built his battery plant in Nevada for a reason. So if you left Cali for Nevada, stop voting blue. Stop the madness. But I hate to break it to you, man, because I think, we disagree and all that. But no, I think the Californication of these other states is coming. I don't think you guys are going to like it. All the California people are going to come and they're going to say, "Oh, I used to like this in California. I used to like that." And they're going to run for office. They're going to vote for blue people. They're going to try to transform your libertarian paradises into, again, what I think we're going for here is a hodgepodge. We're going for a mixture, right? A pure thing is not very strong. If we really want to go back to it, and I hate to end the conversation by bringing up World War II and Hitler and eugenics, but go back to the potato famine in Ireland. right? The potato famine happened because they were all eating the same type of potato. And when a virus came along that matched with that type of potato, the potato was toast, right? There's a similar, and the Irish people who were, surviving on the potato were similarly toast. Like nothing wrong with them, nothing they did, but it's that coming into that purity. There's nothing good about purity. I really don't think if obviously Hitler had brown hair and brown eyes, but if he'd had his Asian pure race or his Aryan pure race, I think they would have gotten infected by a virus and died. I mean, I don't think there's anything good in purity. So yeah, with the left and the right states, I think it's the same thing as kind of what they used to say about the race issue in the 60s and 70s. We could have, I think it was George Carlin or one of those guys. And yeah, we could all get together and just become all purple, and we're just become all intermixed, and everybody's a different part of everything and no one can hate. But Rick and Morty did some good bits on that. They'll find something to hate. They'll find something different. So, but yeah, I think California is coming to you, Crypto Cleanse. It's coming. Rolando says you're better off providing liquidity on Uniswap. You can use USD and WBTC for ETH and WBTC. That does sound pretty good. You could provide some liquidity there. I think you'd get a return. Generally, someone told me about Uniswap a few weeks ago. I didn't know much about it or the DeFi thing, but in my mind, I was like, it sounds like they're selling shovels to these DeFi people. So I went ahead and bought some of the Uniswap thing, and it went up in value. So again, it's always, I wish I bought more, or I wish I bought earlier, or whatever. But still, if you buy something and then it's worth more, you made profit. Good job. Maybe take some of that profit, do something else with it. But let's see. Space says a chemist, but not a virologist. Any doctorate will do, right? Yes, we do have to get our experts from the specific field, I think, if we really want to have the best experts, right? If we want the best information. And yeah, he says, Rolando says it's easier to do the liquidity on Uniswap than Lightning. Yeah, the Lightning one's not really, I mean, it's there. You can get interest. And I think, again, I'm as a giant corporation or a government even, you could risk your $1 billion, or you could risk your $1 trillion and still control it. The problem with taking your $1 trillion and putting it into Uniswap is that if the Uniswap company or somebody who works there, some kind of thing, decides that your money is worth more than having a job there or worth more than the project or whatever, your funds are at potential risk. This is the same if you're putting $1,000 into the liquidity pile as well, but it's not as much a big a deal. It's not like that's the only place you could put your money safely. They're not going to run off because you put 1,000 in or whatever you might have. So, yeah, I think that would be an interesting way to look. Also, those other exchanges where you can provide liquidity and receive interest or something, that might be better than the Lightning Network right now for a return. But again, you're putting your trust, you're putting your faith in those exchanges. If they go out, if they are sued, or if the government comes after them, or whatever it is, that's where your money is. Let's see. Bram says he's currently in India. The electricity in California is just fine. Oh yeah, it's funny. I keep thinking about India. Ben wrote this thing. I think it's called 39words.com. And it's based on the Bitcoin word list that creates the wallets. And through 4 words, or it's called just 4 words or something like that. But through the 4 words, he can zero down to any kind of block or square on the planet. And I always think this is really neat because people are always telling me, at least in the outskirts of India, I'm sure they have towns and cities and stuff that are legit. But in the outskirts, mail delivery is very difficult and almost impossible because they don't have addresses like the American system. It's more like down at the end of the block, turn left at the red barn, near the place with this and that. It's a hodgepodge. And what's amazing with this kind of just 4 word system with that Ben's written and other people have written is maybe they could use that to do the addressing, and that could go to your house or whatever. But yeah, that'd be, I don't know, they'd adopt that system, but I just think it's super funny that we have solutions. We have solutions to these really obscure problems now, thanks to the internet and thanks to tinkerers like Ben that are working on these projects. Let's see. Crypto Cleanse says you don't need to be a virologist to know tests show sheep, goats, chickens, and papayas have COVID are bad tests. Any scientist will do. Anyone with common sense will do. And even Space laughs at that one. So we just agree to disagree on that. Steven says, thanks for my attempt. Try to explain Lightning. There's good videos on Bitcoin, but not ones for Lightning. Oh, we'll have to make some more. It was up in the air for a while. Lightning. It's funny. I just looked at a video from the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. It was 6 years ago, and the guys were there announcing the Lightning Network as a potential scaling solution for Bitcoin. So it hasn't been that long that we've been doing Lightning. So yeah, we need to develop some better videos. Moonshine Fuel agrees. He says, what happens in California eventually works its way east. That's true. John says, check out Ministry of Nodes for some good Lightning videos. That sounds good. Check that out. And Rolando got some Uniswap early. Got 800 tokens at $30 a coin. Oh, they're like 40 now. So you're still doing fine. But yeah, that's a very cool way to get in, get on something early, hold it for a long time. And if it goes up in value, sell it for more or keep it forever. Do what you want. I don't care. But we're just checking in today with some new books I've been reading. Things have been going on here. Chatting it up. So yeah, I'm working my way through the Goldbergs, season 6 or so. Still a big fan of Young Sheldon. I think this show's even better than The Big Bang Theory, and Big Bang Theory isn't that good. So love Young Sheldon. Just something about the young, smart guy fighting against the world. Yeah, I just obviously really dig it. And I'm still watching The League. I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times now. It's fantastic. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's not politically correct. It'll never be made again. And it's about fantasy football. So I'm sure you're not interested now. But The League is fun, man. It is a fun show to watch. If you like to laugh, if you have a good sense of humor, you can accept that kind of thing. We're also accepting donations for our laptop fundraiser. So there's still no one on Clubhouse. I got to do the Clubhouse thing differently. I have to focus in on it if I want to get the people. I don't know. But you could donate now with the Bitcoin network. Also, we've got the Lightning network. Again, the main difference here on the Lightning network is that the plugin is hiding the thing. So, but you can donate really easily using other people to hold your Lightning, basically. I've also been reading Jim Carrey's fantastic memoirs and misinformation. I recently finished it up. It was wild, man. It was the same as Norm Macdonald. Jim didn't want to write a traditional memoir talking about his life and growing up and all that kind of thing. So instead, he tells a story about kind of a version of Jim Carrey. And it's just out of control. At one point, they're talking about maybe having Jim play Chairman Mao in a movie. But obviously it couldn't be Jim playing Mao because that would be a white man playing an Asian, and that's no longer acceptable. So what they said instead is that the spirit of Chairman Mao would be controlling the body of Jim Carrey, and that it would all be about celebrity and dictatorship and all the things they have in common and all that kind of thing. So for a while there, Jim was trying to make his world dark and trying to become Mao, and it was very dark and strange. And then the end of the book, spoiler alert, I'll try to keep it not that much, but it kind of breaks off like this is the end, the fantastic Seth Rogen End of the World movie where all the actors get killed as the real Christian apocalypse happens in the world. It's one of the best books for understanding movies for understanding the Book of Revelations, really. But something similar to that happens in Jim Carrey's memoirs and misinformation. And it's a fantastic triumph at the end. It's a page turner. Jim Carrey, Nicolas Cage, Tom Hanks, Alec Baldwin, all kinds of other celebrities are there fighting off evil. And it's just a fantastic, wonderful, fun book. If you're looking for something light, check out Jim Carrey and Dana Vacon's Memoirs and Misinformation. It's definitely not your normal celebrity biography novel. I also very much enjoyed Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. The new host of The Daily Show tells stories from his South African childhood. It's a great book. It was also a fun audio book. I listened to Trevor read parts of the book to me. I tried out that Amazon audiobook plus Kindle system. It was kind of fun. You could have the audiobook read to you, then you could skip to the same place in the text version of the book, and you could read that, and then you could go back to the audiobook and vice versa. It worked pretty good, but still not quite as good as the original Amazon Kindle with its computer voice and the ability to just read the book aloud. That still is the best and most seamless system that I ever used, and it worked on any book. It wasn't just some books, and you didn't have to pay more. So you can see why they eliminated it. But boy, was it a great feature on that original Kindle keyboard that I had. And you would just be reading the book, and then you'd have to like do something like make lunch. You'd turn the book into an audio book, and the computer, it wasn't good at reading, but the computer would read it out loud, and it's still pretty good. You go back to reading. You could go in the car, plug it in, make it an audio book, listen to it. And it worked on any book. So they actually still have that at the Internet Archive and maybe on some of the other e-readers. So I check that out. If you're not locked into the Kindle ecosystem, we also did a reading today from Riding the Elephant, a memoir of altercations, humiliations, hallucinations, and observations by Craig Ferguson, the fantastic host of The Late Late Show. You can watch clips of Craig hosting the show amazingly on YouTube. There's all kinds of them with guests, tied together by guest. Really fun stuff. I enjoyed reading Craig's book as well. The price of Bitcoin is up 4.35% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 50,542, a high of 51,350, and a low of 48,241. That's $1 for 1,979 Satoshis. Volume was at 4,955 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean long, with 93% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 80%. We also checked out The Box, How the Shipping Container Made the World Smaller and the World's Economy Bigger by Mark Levinson. I've just started this one. And I recommend Wanda Vision. It's a great show. You got to get through 3 episodes, though. After 3 episodes, it becomes a mystery, and I love a good mystery. Very superhero origin story. I enjoyed Fresh Off the Boat, The Goldbergs, Young Sheldon. I know, I watch a lot of sitcoms. And The League. Oh, I love The League. Timeless, everlasting, grotesque, beautiful. The League. Hilarious. Mostly improvised. But thanks so much to everybody for donating. Hey, right here it is. Greets, some original Satoshis from Ben. The others will be used to smoke him next time. Stephen in Belgium. Very cool. Thanks so much, Stephen, for checking it out. Good luck with your Lightning project. I hope you get it going and you can try more fun things to do with Lightning. I think there's a lot of options out there. So everyone, be sure to subscribe to the World Crypto Network. You can subscribe down below. Sorry about the audio problem earlier. It's that new Zoom system. I turned off the video and the audio because I didn't want China listening to me all the time. And I forgot to turn them back on so that everyone could listen to me during the show. Also, check out shop.worldcryptonetwork.com where you can get the HAL Finny mug. It's very cool. Hal's an incredible hero to Bitcoin, and this mug pays homage to him. It also kind of looks like an old-timey computer t-shirt from the 80s and 90s. That was our goal. The mug is designed by Philippe. Thanks so much to Philippe. And be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. It's free. If there's any YouTube show that you like, give them a thumbs up. Don't make them ask. Just give it in advance and be like, I'm generous. I'm Mr. Generous with my thumbs up. That's what we'd like to see. So thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye.